Kristin Dudley.
41-33. This is the score that turned the underdogs, the team, the coaches, and our city into champions. And I'm here today to talk to you a little bit about how that came to be. And some may be surprised to realize that a whole lot of it had to do with the soft skills that we don't usually talk about when it comes to football. But we're going to go there. We will win this game, not we're going to do all that we can or we're going to give this a go. No, we will win this game. This is a line that Doug Peterson, head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles, recited every single day in the postseason, instilling confidence in himself, but also in his team and in the players. And he continued to recite this and into the Super Bowl win. We will win this game. Oh, that. So one of the reasons why Doug Peterson was hired in 2016 by Jeffrey Lurie, the owner of the Philadelphia Eagles, is because he carried emotional intelligence. Now, this is a term that when it comes to the NFL and football, was highly criticized and thought of as a real new age term, not something that folks really honored in the past. But when Doug showed up to his interview with Jeffrey Lurie, he was very, very comfortable with himself. That's how Lurie describes him. And that's a real sign of having emotional intelligence, being comfortable with who you are, at peace with who you are, and aware of the people in the room. So this is what I want to focus on today, and this is why the Eagles got to that championship win. They were led with emotional intelligence. They were brought together and encouraged to trust one another, to believe in themselves. So trust. This is at the center of leading with emotional intelligence. And this is what Doug not only created with the team members and trusting in him, but he also expressed a lot of trust in them as well. Ownership was a term that he continued to push on the team all along the way. Pushing them to be owners, pushing them to decide what did they want to do with the season, where were they going to go. It was up to them. And so by putting trust into that team, he gained it as well. A story that's not often told is one of Doug's proudest moments was being on the sidelines during the Super Bowl and hearing the team reciting lines like this one from LeGarrette Blount. They can't beat us, they can't beat us. Again, just as firm as the confident message that Doug was instilling in all of them from the beginning of the season. So having that trust in themselves and in one another is what brought them ultimately, again, to that win. And there wasn't a moment that could capture that more than the beginning of the infamous Philly special play. So this is when Nick Foles came to the sideline at 4th and goal, right before the end of the second quarter, and suggested that really, really risky play, the Philly special, to Doug Peterson. And you got to see that moment where Doug looked Nick in the eye and agreed and trusted him and set him free. And we all know what happened after that. Or do we? Are we Eagles fans here? Okay. Awesome. I was hoping like I would get one of those. So why am I talking about this? Why am I here today? So over the last 5 years, I'm a curious creative. I have spent my career getting passionate about problems and solving them. And over the last 5 years, I've been particularly interested in what makes a workplace a great workplace. And how can we get everyone to love where they work? And so after the NFC Championship game, I was standing in my living room And I heard Malcolm Jenkins reciting words like this one, like these, and speaking about the feeling of working for the Eagles, of his job, of the people that he worked with, and loving them, and being really proud to come to work each day. And that's what triggered me, and I thought, wow, what is going on here? And that's where I dug deeper, and I learned about the emotional intelligence of Doug, and how he was able to create a culture internally that ultimately led them to this moment. So when I think about teams and organizations, I don't like to compare them to family, and that's not what this slide is about. This slide is about having respect for one another, which was absolutely displayed by the team players on and off the field. Okay, so I'm going to actually give you some tangible ways that you yourself can exercise your EQ, or your emotional intelligence, to lead your teams to remarkable success. So the first is practicing self-awareness. Now, this is really hard. This is about going deep and understanding who you are as a person, as a leader, as a teammate. And it takes years. You know, Doug Peterson was cut from the NFL himself as a player 6 times over. And it wasn't until he finally decided to leave, or I guess he didn't have much of a decision, and started coaching that he realized, hey, I'm pretty good at this coaching thing. And he continued to dig into that. So practicing self-awareness, listening to the people around you so that you understand who you are as a contributor, is really essential. We will win this game. Exercise empathy. So this was also very core to Peterson and the way that he operated within the team. So being a coach, having rose through the ranks, he understood his coaching staff. He was able to put himself in their shoes in order to lead them and to relate to them. And same with the players. He also was able to express a lot of empathy for them and support them along the way. 3, create a culture of trust and transparency. So Doug Peterson has an open door model as a manager. I also learned that he works from 5:30 a.m. to 11 p.m. at night. I'm not encouraging that, but that's how I realized he has the time to have an open door. But he does, and he does his best to be able to have a one-on-one meeting with everyone in the organization throughout the year, which takes a lot of time. But he also makes sure that he's seen. So you'll often find Doug walking through the locker room, which is the players' turf, and making sure that folks know that, you know, you could bump him, you know, on the shoulder and ask him anything that you like. 4, nurture your relationships. So this isn't just about your relationships specifically, but if you are leading a team or you're part of a team, you want to make sure that the relationships within that team are being nurtured. So a couple of the great things that Doug did is that he installed a basketball arcade game in the locker room so that the players could stay together after practice or after a game and just wind down and play a game together. He also took the entire team paintballing. I don't know if that's the term, but they went out and shot paintballs, and he says that that's the most fun they ever had until they won the Super Bowl. And then my favorite thing that Doug Peterson does is that every Saturday night before a game, he has a whole ice cream social for the team. He's very passionate about ice cream, and I am as well. 5, never allow adversity to get you down. So this is where that underdog mentality certainly came from, and so, you know, throughout last year, the team was constantly criticized, and there was little belief in them. And then here they went to the Super Bowl against the champions, the New England Patriots, and crushed them, right? So what Doug would do often was make sure that the team blocked out the noise and stayed focused, and wouldn't let things externally get them down. Obviously, since 2016, we've had a lot of distractions and adversity in our country and in our world, and Doug made some rules about not allowing any of that to come into the locker room or onto the field. And finally, promote a purpose higher than self. It's no mystery that Doug and many of the players are very religious, very spiritual people. And so certainly having that higher purpose is one way that they led themselves to greatness, but also believing in one another and believing in the city. You know, the city and the fans really motivated them. But giving your team or the group that you're a part of or your community a higher purpose to work towards, something that's higher than self, will really help you get to success. Okay. One man can make a difference, but a team can make a miracle. This is a line that Doug Peterson famously said at the beginning of the season, and this truly resonated with the culture of the team throughout the championship winning season. And there we go. That's all that I have for you today. Remember, one man can make a difference, but a team can make a miracle. Thank you so much.